Well, today is International Albinism Awareness Day, and for more on this, I'm now joined by the National Director of the Albinism Society of South Africa, Nomasonto Mazibuko. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers.
Since we had a chat the last time. All right, so it's a very special day for you, and really just to spread awareness of albinism. Tell us why today is so important, especially given some of the things that we see on our continent.
This day is very important internationally, but very special to us as people in South Africa, that our government has embraced albinism as a disability. And then what we did today is we in Gauteng were celebrating the month of June as Youth Month. And today we were at Nasrec, where we were speaking to young people, specifically on economical empowerment. We had a number of speakers, and we would like to join the disability fraternity or sector with people with albinism to be entrepreneurs. Right.
All right, so I think it's always an opportunity to educate people so that they can understand a little bit more about albinism. What is albinism? I think most people associate it literally just with pigmentation issues.
Yes, albinism is a genetic condition where both parents do not have albinism and a child is born with albinism. It always comes as a shock because as the midwife delivers the baby, the first question comes to say, who in your family look like this? And people with albinism have a lack of melanin in their hair, in their eyes, and in their skins. And because we lack melanin, we are susceptible to cancer.
All right. So you say that it's recognized as a disability. Why?
Well, it is recognized in 2013 on the 5th of November. The United Nations on the Human Rights Committee looked as our impairment, our visual impairment, as a disability. Remember, Peter, Africa believes in color, and we used to say, I'm black and I'm proud, but look at my fist, it's not black enough. But because people in Africa want to say people with albinism have their lucky charm, and we find most of our time our body parts are trafficked for multi-purposes. And because of this physique, witchcraft, that's why it has been taken. And we've seen so many people that are killed in Africa, specifically for witchcraft purposes.
Right. We'll talk about those kinds of things now, but just to close off definitions and getting an understanding. So it is a disability because A, it affects vision, and B, because of the lack of melanin, you become more susceptible to things like skin cancer, I guess.
And the physique.
Yeah.
Because people think that we don't have melanin, we've got luck, so our bodies are used. So it's concentrated on our physique to say we are disadvantaged, and because we are trafficked, then it is a form of disability that we always discriminated upon.
Tell us a little bit about some of the things that, the challenges, life struggles, I guess, with living with albinism. I know that one of them is perhaps people staring and looking.
Well, staring is better, but you find that you are always disadvantaged. You can't see, but people don't understand. And there's this very big and more common myth that we do not die, we disappear. And the second one is that if you have a sexual intercourse with a girl that has not reached puberty, your HIV status will be cured. So, and another thing is that now people find that if they traffic you, we are found that most of the time you are not safe. You must always tell people where you are and why you are at that place, because you cannot be traced.
So are we saying that particularly young girls, children, are living with a higher level of vulnerability than most children their age?
Yes, because of the rape. And you should always know where little Nomasonto is, so that even the uncle who has HIV, not telling the family, will be prying on this little girl.
Earlier you said that at birth, it's a shock for the parents. What is it that they need help with if that day arrives, a child is born, and how, in terms of, I suppose, guiding them in terms of nurturing it and loving a child that's born with albinism?
What we have done as the Albinism Society is that we have talked to the clinics and the hospitals during the antenatal period. We go there to say there's a possibility of you having a child with albinism, so that you prepare parents on time. By the time the child reaches, the midwives themselves, it is very, very funny that the midwives themselves do not know about albinism. So we always teach and go to educate even the midwife, even the doctors themselves, to say, tell people that there's a possibility. And the parents do not know if they are carriers. So there is no test in South Africa where,
you can
as
see
a couple, we can go and test if we've got a genetic, which is factor 15.
All right, so then we grow up. What about in society, workplace? Is there any kind of discrimination that people living with albinism face because of their condition?
Yes, truly. The children at school, they're always told by parents, don't play with a little child with albinism because it's a bad omen. Remember that albinism is taken as a curse or a bad omen. So as children grow in schools, they know that you not touch him, because if you touch her, you will have albinism the following day. And at the workplace, people themselves, the people with albinism, do not realize now that albinism is termed a disability. You need reasonable accommodation where the people who employ you should know how to deal with you, how to have a computer that is liable to your condition.
As the National Director of the Albinism Society of South Africa, what's your biggest wish going forward? I suppose to help or to assist people living with albinism in society?
My biggest wish is to say, firstly, to people with albinism themselves, get yourself organized, go to school. It is very important. Live your life to your fullest. And the second wish is that let's educate one another. Please treat us with dignity, love us, never look at us twice and stare. Don't spit. Let's educate you about why we have albinism and yet we belong to the same family. It's when people become angry that they tell you, God forbid, that's why you were born with albinism, because you've got a very unreasonable situation.
All right, and I suppose we're starting to see abductions of children for multi-purposes decreasing in South Africa, but in other parts of the continent it's still a problem. That's something that we also need to re-educate people about.
What we have done, we have worked with Amnesty International, where we have engaged the president of Namibia. They are chairing SADC. We would like to unite because, Peter, you know that our borders are porous. There's no need that we in South Africa, we don't have the high incident. But what happens to Mozambique, Malawi, then Tanzania, then it's still, we are not working together. My wish is to see that we working together, our governments uniting. Yes, Cyril Ramaphosa will know that how to teach me. But what about the Mozambican, the Namibians, and the Malawians? So unity is strength, not only for South Africa, but for the whole of SADC.
Nomasonto Mazibuko, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much indeed for coming through today.
Thank you, and thank you to the viewers, like always.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, okay, that's our conversation. Of course, today is International Awareness Day for Albinism, so talk about it, get to understand it, and educate people around you so that it isn't a thing. and that we protect our members of our society. All right. Today we're focusing quite a bit on gangsterism, and so a reminder of our question of the day. And the question is, how can we win the war against gangsterism? Send us your comments at SAtoday_SABC. That's our Twitter handle. And you can also send us your voice notes and video notes via our WhatsApp line. And the number is 081 732 8421. And keep them under 30 seconds if you can.